the history of R&B. My favorite genre probably right now, it's the only like style of music I can pretty much listen to any song, any artist and like get what the message is and like really like groove to it. It's a style of music where there's a lot of different things that are important. It's like different genres have maybe one or two things that are like the main focus. R&B is, I mean, at least today, there's a jazzy element to it. There's a like a soulful, bluesy element to it. The production quality is always like super important. Talking about modern contemporary guys like the Weeknd or like Justin Timberlake. If you want to hear some really like well mixed, like properly mixed and mastered and tracked audio, like those are the kind of guys you want to be listening to. So I appreciate the genre overall, but I appreciate all the individual little producers and engineers and artists and the background singers and all of that. There's a lot of stuff that goes into R&B. It's also one of the few music genres that you will hear on the radio that feature brass instruments prominently, string instruments, all kind of weird instruments. Again, going back to the Weeknd, he has some weird stuff, weird synthesizers. So the instrumentation is very important. And as a composer, I can always appreciate good instrumentation. And again, the lyrics. And so R&B shares this with country music. The lyric is so important. It's fundamental. It's basically the whole reason for the song. And we talked a lot about lyrics on the songwriting class. So we're not going to go back to that. But lyrics are important. And I mean, look at composers like Prince, and who are some other great lyricists? Leave them in the comments here. I mean, Robin Thicke, great lyricist, and also one of the one of the guys that R&B music influenced very early on is a little lesser known cat by the name of Frank Zappa. And Frank Zappa always said until he was very old that his favorite music was R&B. Now the R&B that Zappa listened to growing up is a little bit different than the R&B that was widely accessible to me growing up. So he's talking about the old blues guys, the old Delta blues, the really aggressive, twangy guitar, and technique, just great musicianship. And so any jazz musician should be very familiar with Frank Zappa, and if it wasn't for R&B music, there would be no Frank Zappa. And Frank Zappa, I feel like, was one of the guys in the rock scene that really brought the R&B sound to the forefront, and it was central to his whole movement out in California. So that's just sort of some personal details why I love it. It's very dense style of music. I don't know why they jam it together with hip hop on the radio. Not to talk trash about hip hop, one of my very favorite genres in the world. But it's a little bit different, and it has a very interesting history, which we're going to get into here. And what is your favorite R&B song? Your favorite R&B artist? Or I got a better one for you. How about this? What is your favorite R&B era? That's an interesting question, because as times change, the music is going to change with it. I mean, it's a necessity, right? Like we said last time, music is, successful music, hit songs are very much reliant on what was just recently successful. So I feel like R&B music is one of those styles that rewards artists for stepping outside of the bounds, coloring outside of the lines a little bit. And if they get successful, everybody else wants to emulate that. So it's a great scene to be in. So what's your favorite era of R&B? Are you an old school guy? Do you appreciate the old Motown records, the Berry Gordy stuff? Do you appreciate the old blues that came way before all of that? That's kind of the backbone of what later became R&B. What's your favorite era, or do you just appreciate the contemporary stuff first and foremost? Like I said, there's a lot to appreciate there. There's a lot of great production value, and there's a lot of it's like I said, it's very dense. So, what's your favorite era of R&B? I would even say, if what about somebody out there might not like R&B, but you may have tuned in to see what this is all about. Why not? What turns you off about it? What is it about R&B? Is it the vocal runs? Is it too much? Um, of course, some people would say that. I think it depends on the artist. Um, so what is it about it that maybe you don't care for as much? And in that case, what is your favorite genre? And yeah, did you grow up with any great R&B hits? Did you grow up as I did, listening to Steve Winwood, Earth, Wind and Fire, Stevie Wonder? I mean, these are like the greatest artists in the world, and they all kind of happen to be all in kind of a very similar genre, right? So I don't know. Is it all a coincidence? I think it's because you have a lot of like-minded folks who are uh, creatively focused in the same direction. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get a scene that's popping, and I think we can achieve that to a smaller scale in the DMV with our native music here as well. So let me know what you think.